Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about Making a Murderer, Steven Avery, and what's going on with this case right now. Okay, here we go. The title of this article is Steven Avery Attorney Says New Witness Statements Connect Nephew to Teresa's Demise. And this came out on April 12th, 2021. Steven Avery's attorney, Kathleen Zellner, says a new witness has come forward alleging he saw Ms. Halbach's vehicle planted at the Avery Salvage Yard in Manitowoc County after her passing. Attorney Kathleen Zellner says the new evidence shows Steven Avery's nephew, Bobby Dassey, was involved in the demise and framing of Steven Avery. Zellner filed a motion with the Wisconsin Court of Appeals District 2 asking to stay the appeal so Avery can file a motion disclosing new evidence of what's known as a Brady violation and to introduce a third-party suspect. I'm not going to read this part here because we are going to look at the motion that Kathleen Zellner filed with the court. Zellner is asking the appeals court to stay the appeal and remand the case to circuit court so the new witness testimony can be presented before a judge. And on a note about Brendan Dassey, right here, this sentence here, Steven Avery's other nephew, Brendan Dassey, was also convicted. He will be able to ask for parole in 2048. Dassey appealed his conviction up to the United States Supreme Court. The justices declined to hear his case. Dassey's attorneys are now asking Governor Tony Evers to consider clemency or early release. They argue that Dassey's conviction to the crime was coerced by detectives. Dassey was 16 at the time of his confession and considered to have a low IQ. Governor Tony Evers declined that clemency or early release already. This article goes on to say that Brendan Dassey was a 16-year-old who was an intellectually disabled child when he was taken from his school and subjected to a uniquely and profoundly flawed legal process. That process rightly sought justice for Ms. Halbach, but it wrongly took a confused child's freedom in payment for her loss. Such a debt can never be justly repaid with the currency of innocence. And that's the statement that's in the clemency petition for Brendan. So now let's go to the next article that's talking about Steven Avery. And this says, twists and turns, a potential new witness for Steven Avery could add yet another step in his appeal. And this comes from the Appleton Post-Crescent, and it came out on April 26, 2021. I'm not going to read the whole thing as before. Zellner filed court documents on April 12, claiming that a new witness delivery driver, who is Thomas Sowinski, saw a shirtless Bobby Dassey, Brendan Dassey's brother, and Avery's nephew, and an unidentified older man pushing a Toyota RAV4 down Avery Road towards the junkyard in the early morning hours of November 5, 2005. Sowinski drove past the two men and delivered newspapers to a mailbox, then turned around and began to drive off the property. But Bobby Dassey attempted to step in front of his car to block him from leaving, the court documents say. Sawinski came within 5 feet of Bobby Dassey, and his headlights were on Bobby during this entire time. Then Sawinski swerved into a shallow ditch to escape. Sawinski says he called out, "Paperboy gotta go," because he was afraid for his safety, and that was in a signed affidavit. Sawinski says, "Bobby Dassey looked me in the eye, and I could tell with the look in his eyes that he was not happy to see me there." Kathleen Zellner, in an 11-page document detailing Sawinski's claims, asked the appeals court to put Avery's current appeal on hold and send his case back to circuit court to deal with the new claims. Now I'm going to read this paragraph here, which says, if the appeals court does grant Avery's latest request, the current appeal would be paused and the case would be sent back to circuit court, where a judge would have to consider all of the evidence presented at trial and decide if these new claims would have led to a different outcome. Okay, let me stop there. The current appeal they're talking about is the video that I posted prior to this. And that current appeal is Steven Avery presents new evidence. Okay, so let's continue. And this says the suppressed evidence was favorable to the defendant. The court documents say, and pivotal to the outcome of Avery's trial, because it would have destroyed entirely the credibility of Bobby as the state's primary witness, established that Bobby was directly involved in the demise of Teresa, and established that Bobby planted evidence to frame his uncle. I want to stop there. Why would Bobby do this to his own brother? I don't know. Makes no sense to me. This also says that Zellner investigated Sawinski's claims over a period of more than 3 months after Sawinski contacted her law firm on December 26, 2020, a process that involved multiple background checks and interviews along with a review of prior evidence in the case, according to court documents filed with the appeals court. Okay, that's going to do it for me for the articles. Now, let's go to the motion that Kathleen Zellner filed with the court. And as you can see up at the top is the motion for remand and stay of appeal, and it was filed on April 12, 2021. Now it's saying that this remand is for petitioner to file a supplemental post-conviction motion disclosing new evidence of a Brady violation and a third-party Denny suspect. This motion is 11 pages long, as you can see up at the top. Forgot to say that part. And here, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to say a little bit of it. This motion asks the court to stay this appeal and remand for Mr. Avery to supplement his post-conviction motion with a new witness affidavit establishing a Brady violation and a third-party Denny suspect. In support of said motion, Mr. Avery states as follows. Brady violation. On April 11, 2021, a new witness, Thomas Sawinski, came forward to Mr. Avery's current post-conviction counsel and attested to the following. Mr. Sawinski was a motor route driver for Gannett Newspapers, Inc., and delivered papers to the Avery Salvage Yard in the early morning hours of November 5th, 2005. Prior to delivering the newspapers to the Avery Salvage Yard, he turned onto the Avery property and witnessed two individuals, a shirtless Bobby Dassey and an unidentified older male, suspiciously pushing a dark blue RAV4 down Avery Road towards the junkyard. The RAV4 did not have its lights on. After Mr. Sawinski drove by Bobby and the other individual and delivered the papers to the Avery mailbox, he turned around and drove back towards the exit. When he reached the RAV4, Bobby attempted to step in front of his car to block him from leaving the property. Mr. Sawinski was within 5 feet of Bobby, and his headlights were on Bobby during this entire time. After Mr. Sawinski learned that Miss Hallback's car was found later in the day on November 5, 2005, he realized the significance of what he had observed and immediately contacted the Manitowoc Sheriff's Office and spoke to a female officer reporting everything he had stated in his affidavit. The officer said, "We already know who did it." Mr. Sawinski provided his phone number and was told that the Manitowoc Sheriff's Office would contact him, but it never did. Attached to this motion is Mr. Sawinski's affidavit and a photograph he marked of the location of the RAV4. So let's go to that photograph. And here's the photograph of Avery Salvage Yard that Sawinski was talking about. And I'm not sure what those symbols are. But as you can see, his signature is up under that photograph. Okay, let's go back to where we left off at. Bobby was the state's primary witness against Steven Avery at his trial. During his opening statement, Prosecutor Ken Kratz explicitly informed the jury of the significance of Bobby's observations on the date of Hallback's disappearance. And Ken Kratz said, quote, "You are going to hear that Bobby Dassey was the last person, the last citizen that will have seen Teresa Hallback alive," end quote. The important factors in here, all of it's important, but some things stand out more than others. Okay, on number 6, it says to establish a Brady violation, a defendant must demonstrate that 1, the prosecution suppressed evidence, 2, the evidence was in the defendant's favor, and 3, the evidence was material to an issue at trial. And then down here, it says the prosecution's duty to disclose evidence favorable to the accused includes the duty to disclose impeachment evidence as well as exculpatory evidence. On number 7, it says, the state suppressed the evidence of Mr. Sawinski's report to the Manitowoc Sheriff's Office that he had witnessed Bobby and another individual in possession of and moving Miss Hallback's vehicle onto the Avery Salvage Yard after Miss Hallback's disappearance and prior to her vehicle's discovery. The suppressed evidence from Mr. Sawinski was favorable to the defense and material to the pivotal issue in trial because it would have 1, destroyed entirely the credibility of Bobby as the state's primary witness, 2, established that Bobby was directly involved in the demise of Miss Halbach, and 3, establish that Bobby planted evidence to frame his uncle, Steven Avery. Number 9 says that in the absence of the suppressed evidence presented in Mr. Sawinski's affidavit, Mr. Avery did not receive a fair trial. Mr. Avery had a constitutionally guaranteed right to present a complete defense to the charges against him. And I'm going to jump down here instead of reading these court cases. Mr. Avery was deprived of his constitutional right to present a complete defense because of this Brady violation committed by the state. Number 10 says that additionally, the Sawinski affidavit greatly strengthens Mr. Avery's third-party identity claim because the Sawinski affidavit directly connects Bobby to the crime charged. And then we go to the conclusion, which says the attorneys who have signed below respectfully request that this court enter an order staying this appeal and remanding the case to the circuit court to permit Mr. Avery to pursue a supplemental post-conviction motion in connection with Mr. Avery's discovery of previously suppressed evidence by the state. And as you can see here, is dated 12th day of April 2021. And you can see Steven Avery's lawyer's signatures on here. Okay, that's going to do it for me. Thank you for stopping by the channel. Please like and share the video, post your comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you soon. But before I leave, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get the notifications when I upload a new video, because the state has answered or responded to this motion to stay. So that's next up on my video list. Okay, thanks for stopping by. Bye. This is a PS to the video I just did. Dolores Avery, the mother of Steven Avery, has passed away. She passed away on July 8th, 2021, at the age of 83. Ms. Dolores was featured in the Netflix docuseries about Steven. According to Kathleen Zellner, who is Steven Avery's attorney, Ms. Dolores passed the day before Steven's birthday. Steven's birthday was July 9th. Rest in peace, Ms. Dolores. And I will talk to the rest of you soon. Bye.